If you want the latest and the top stories, I want you to go to SaraACarter.com. That's SaraACarter.com. You can also check out the podcast page. And by the way, download the Sara Carter Show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, folks, I got a surprise, a blast from the past. I think you all remember Jennie Taer. She worked with me for years, literally years. She was amazing. Jennie, young and ambitious and smart and empathetic, decided to just pack up and leave me. No, just kidding. She did. She needed to move on. So Jennie went on to the Daily Caller, and she works on their investigative team. And she is going to come here today as a special guest. And she is going to tell us all about the investigations that they're doing there at the Daily Caller and the stories that they're working on, which I think are absolutely essential if we are going to get to the truth of the matter and get the information that we need to the public. So Jennie will be here shortly. She is now with the Daily Caller. She is my good friend, and she formerly worked with me at SaraACarter.com. Go to SaraACarter.com to get all the latest stories. And if you have any time left after that, you can go to the Daily Caller. Just kidding. We'll be here to discuss how our government is basically coddling the Mexican drug cartels. I'm going to talk to you about how they are treating illegal immigrants far better than they are treating our American citizens. I'll also be discussing President Biden's, disgusting speech. So gross. Comparing people who oppose his plan for a federal takeover of elections to segregationists and Confederate President Jefferson Davis. I mean, how crazy is this? Biden's desperate. And this is all about desperation. On top of the fact that he is, a racist. He makes racist comments. Maybe he's not. I can't really say, is he a racist? No, I don't know him. But we know he has a long history of making racist comments. He does. It's just matter of fact. And we're going to talk about some of those. I want you to please follow and subscribe. Get all the links at SaraACarter.com. That is SaraACarter.com. And while you are there, I want you to sign up for our email list so that you don't get shadow banned, folks. We do not want you to be shadow banned. And I want to stay in contact with you. I want to make sure that you get the stories that, that I believe are important for the American public, the stories that I think will make a difference. And especially if we're all, joined together, trying to work together to change what we see is happening in this country. We're going to do that the right way. We're going to do that through the law, through the courts. We saw what happened in the Supreme Court. Great victory. And we do this because our nation is based on strong principles and values that established by our founding fathers. And that's why we can do what we do. Now is the critical time to be vigilant in the defense of our freedom, and there is no better way to do so than by joining what? AMAC. It's the Association of Mature American Citizens. I love AMAC. I love the fact that they are a sponsor for this show. And by the way, you don't need to be that mature to join them. You just need to support them. Why? Because AMAC does the right things. It fights the good fight against reckless government spending and the ever-expanding scope of the federal government. We've seen what's happened just in a year under the Biden administration. They believe in helping small businesses prosper, securing our borders, supporting our military, my husband and his friends, supporting the military and respecting our veterans. By joining AMAC, you are taking the very first steps to saving the America you love. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that other group does, but without the liberal agenda. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Folks, California is beyond a mess. It breaks my heart, actually, because I remember, being a young girl, being in California. My family's in California. I remember when the state was a state to be proud of. You could be in San Bernardino County, and in one day you could go up to Mount Baldy and go skiing, and then that very same day make your way down to Newport Beach. I mean, it would be a long drive, but you could do it and go to the beach. It is a gorgeous state. The weather is beautiful. and it has completely and utterly fallen apart. I don't know if you've seen the videos out there right now, but a lot of the trains traveling through California carrying your Amazon packages, carrying USPS packages and produce and other things, they're being raided. They're being raided. It literally looks like a third world country around some of the train tracks. It looks like a war zone. And people are picking up and the Amazon packages are just strewn everywhere. Can you imagine how much of a loss this is costing the company? And for the people that are supposed to be getting their packages, they're just not getting it. I mean, I would cry if all my packages didn't arrive. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm serious, for so many people and the cost of the economy. And California already has so many issues. It's struggling. It's struggling. Look at San Francisco. People are fleeing California. They're coming here to the great state of Texas. Hopefully they don't bring that same junk and baggage with them. Hopefully they want to live in freedom here in Texas. They're going to Florida. They're leaving the state. Elon Musk left the state. And now California Governor Newsom is unveiling this plan, and you can read about it at SaraCarter.com, is to provide universal health care to all illegal immigrants. What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They are desperate. The Democrats have been wanting to do this for some time. We've seen it happening. And they want a voter base based on ownership, because they're going to own them. They don't care about freedom and the ability for people to build a great life and not owe anyone anything. They believe in ownership. They want to hand out checks. They want to give away free health care. And then they want to say, you owe me one. You got to vote for me now. You got to continue to vote for me if you want to get stuff for free. Why? So that they can be in power, so that they can line their own pockets with all the lobbyist money and the stocks. I mean, just look at Nancy Pelosi. Her and her husband have made millions off the stock market. I believe in insider trading. That's what they're doing. And, they get all these luxuries that the regular folks don't get. Vacation here, a lobbyist takes them there, a dinner there, a something else here, something else there. And their spouses get away with it all the time. Let me read this to you. California's progressive politics are taking yet one more step forward. On Monday, Governor Gavin Newsom revealed his new budget proposal, which includes expanding the state's Medi-Cal health coverage to all low-income illegal immigrants in the state. When I was in the state before I came to Washington, D.C., and that was like 2003, 2004, 2005, I wrote a story about our emergency care units in California, in particular in San Bernardino County and LA County. At that point in time, and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but California was already suffering. They were already shutting down a lot of the emergency centers at the hospitals. And there were very few. Why? Because they were overwhelmed, and mostly overwhelmed with illegal immigrants that didn't have insurance, because they would just go to the emergency room to get treated. The emergency rooms could not handle the amount of people that were coming in. And by the way, not getting the money they needed to sustain these emergency centers. Arrowhead Regional Hospital, I remember at the time, had one of the biggest trauma centers. And I actually covered a story there, and I was grateful. At the end of the year, I received an AP award for my coverage of the trauma units there. But I was allowed to go in, sit with the doctors, and California already at the time was seeing a huge shift. A lot of the people that came into the trauma unit were gang members that had been stabbed or shot, car wrecks, of course, and other traumatic, incidents. But people had to come far and wide to get to that trauma center. Can you imagine what's going to happen now? I mean, California is already imploding. National Review is reporting that the Golden State already began offering coverage to low-income illegal immigrants 26 and under in 2019, and added coverage for those 55 and older last year, when we know darn good and well that a lot of Americans aren't even covered or get charged so much money for their hospital care. Now the Democrat governor is proposing covering the remainder beginning no sooner than January 1st, 2024. I don't understand. I don't understand why Californians are putting up with this, why they keep voting people like Newsom into office, why they don't take back the state. A legislative analysis of this estimated that it could basically cost $2.4 billion per year. That expansion's already cost Newsom $286 billion in the state budget, which makes use of a projected $45.7 billion surplus. Think about that. This is really scary stuff, folks, because we're seeing this not only in California, we're seeing this kind of behavior across the board. Look at what's happened in New York. Yeah, New York City. Why do you think they're so desperate to have illegals voting in New York City? The Democrats know that to fundamentally change this country the way that they want, and this is not the Blue Dog Democrats. This is not Kyrsten Sinema. We're going to talk about that later on in the show after Jennie comes on. Remember, Jennie Taer is going to be here. She's going to be talking about all of her latest investigative work that she's doing with the Daily Caller's investigative unit, a phenomenal group of young people working over there to expose the truth. We're going to go to Kyrsten Sinema, though, after that, and as well as Manchin, and why they decided to basically hold President Biden accountable and say, you're not going to be able to federalize the voting system in the United States of America. We're not going to let you. We're not going to let you. Right? I want you to know, freedom is essential, but it can't exist if you give it away. It can't exist if you allow the federal government to seize control of all of your rights, of your liberty. Manchin and Sinema got that. They know where this is heading. They know what's going on. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening across the board when it comes to immigration as well. Right? So we have illegals in California right now. They want to give them, full on health care. You don't even have to. It's like, why do we even have a border? Why not just let everybody in the world just come on in? Because guess what? We're not checking them anyways. Jennie's going to be talking about that. We're not even requiring them to show the appropriate paperwork when they fly on our planes with our children and our families. Did we not learn anything from September 11th? Did we not learn anything from what happened with Mohammed Atta and all of his crew with Osama bin Laden? Did we not learn anything about what is happening in our world? Because I think for some reason, the Democrats believe that Al-Qaeda, which, by the way, is still being run by Ayman al-Zawahiri out of Pakistan and some other folks, is still intent on targeting the United States. They are very patient. Iran is still working on targeting the United States, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We have enemies outside of this country that are still intent on targeting the United States, like China and everybody else. But we're going to just allow, and let's just look at terrorism. We're just going to allow people to fly all over willy-nilly, all over. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take a bunch of folks. I'm going to throw them on a plane, send them at midnight to Tennessee. I'm going to throw the rest of them. Sorry, Senator Marsha Blackburn. You are fighting the good fight. But guess what? They're still moving people all across the country. All across the country. And now we have over 47,000. And by the way, this number is extraordinarily low. The number is much, much higher. Much, much higher. Trust me on this. Over 47,000 migrants released into the U.S. by the Biden administration have disappeared. Many more have disappeared. Many more. Trust me. They've disappeared because they're not going to report. Let me give you an example. When my good friend Gary Bergman, who was on the latest podcast with me, when he was a Border Patrol agent, at one point in time, and this was, 20 years ago plus, that year, only 287,000, this was like 20 years ago, came into the country. He was just telling me this last night. And he said, of those, they were given a notice to appear. This was at a time when a big hurricane had come through. They had brought people from El Salvador into the United States. They had given everybody a notice to appear, which means you got to show up at the court. You got to report that you're in the United States. But there were so many people coming in at that one moment in time that they had to let them go. Out of all those, only 7 people out of the 280,000 plus, only 7, he said, actually reported. Those 7 were actually removed because they were dumb. No, I'm just, they were the only honest ones that actually showed up. And it wasn't even that they were being honest. It was that everybody was scared. They didn't want to get, sent back home. Who wants to tell ICE where they're at? So, think about it. Where would all these 47,000 people go? So we've basically taken the 9/11 Commission report and shredded it. I want you to think about this. All the work that was done by the commission after September 11th to try to save America from another terrorist attack has been completely shredded by this administration. And they've done so in a year. They've just done it. They don't even care. They are letting people loose into our country that we cannot find again. People that may not be the people they say they are. And these are only the people that have been apprehended. And by the way, last year, that fiscal year was 1.7 million people that crossed that border that they know of. It's like nothing we've never seen this before. And I can tell you this, I've covered the border since the Bush administration. We have not seen it like this before. I am really nervous about what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you this. If something happens in our country because of this government's failure to adhere to the law and protect its citizens, I don't want another 9/11 commission. I want people to go to prison because they have been warned. They have been warned and they know it. And they know it. There is no way on earth that our borders should be as open as they are right now. And we should not be exposing the American people or the people who are on the border right now to the criminal dangers and the elements that are coming across our border, like fentanyl, which, by the way, is a weapon of mass destruction. If you release it in its pure form, it is a WMD. And it's literally killing our citizens right now. And it's coming from China. And we have that guy from Saudi Arabia, 2 others from Yemen that were connected to terrorist organizations that were apprehended at the border. And by the way, a lot more than that. And I know this. I know this from my sources, that there were others. But the Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security do not want to make that public. Folks, we've got so much to get to, I want to talk to you really quick about MyPillow, because I absolutely love MyPillow, and I think Mike Lindell is an awesome American and a true patriot. And we got to support those people that actually care about this country and support their businesses, because guess what? You're not going to have any problem on the supply chain with Mike Lindell's products. Everything's made right here in America. And now Mike Lindell has done it again by introducing the new My Slippers. I love these My Slippers. And with the current offer, of course, through me, you will get 40% off the new My Slippers. They were 2 years into development to ensure that they are the highest quality and comfort. They were designed for all-day wear, both indoors and outdoors. You don't even need to worry about it. It's got a rubber sole. You can wear them outside, shake them off, go right back in the house with them. They're available in moccasin or slip-on style and in a variety of colors. They're also made with quality leather suede and the exclusive 3-tier cushioning system. MyPillow's patented fill, impact gel, and memory foam. So you feel like you're floating on air. You feel like you're walking on a cloud. For a limited time, Mike is offering 40% off all My Slippers. Go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listeners square. Enter the promo code, listen to this, Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R, or call 1-800-685-7221. While you are there, take advantage of the deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, and MyPillow towel sets. You can also save 40% on the new My Slippers with my promo code. Carter, Carter. Call 1-800-685-7221 or visit mypillow.com. Without any further delay, my good friend Jennie Taer, she worked for me. I know you all loved her. You all miss her. I miss her too. So I had to bring Jennie back. I wanted to hear what Jennie's up to. I want to know what she learned from me, what she didn't learn from me, what we could do better. Jennie, thank you so much for coming back on the show. We really, really do sincerely miss you, but I don't miss Washington, D.C. I'm in Texas.
I know. And I am so sad to not be in Texas. I was just there, but D.C. has turned into a hellhole, to be honest. But it's so great to be back, and I miss it too. And I have to say, I really learned everything I know from you. Like you were saying, that you taught me so much, and that's prepared for me for this role that I'm in now. And, you know, it was bittersweet leaving, and I'm so glad to still call you a friend.
Oh, thank you so much. You are my friend. And you know what? I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored to have been somebody that you worked with for 3 years, because you're doing really incredible work at the Daily Caller. You're breaking big stories. You've been focused on the border. You've been focused on other issues, national issues. And I think that's the most important thing, is to get people out there, journalists out there that are willing to do the hard work, willing to build up sources, and tell the truth, most importantly. Tell me, fill us in on what you've been doing and where you're at right now as far as your reporting goes, and maybe some things that you've learned, I guess, over the last few months.
So like you said, I'm at the Daily Caller News Foundation on the investigative team, and mostly been covering national security issues. Kind of when I started, that's when we saw the fall of Afghanistan. So I was digging into that when I started out, and have been kind of following other military issues, and have also been covering the border. So I was there just about maybe a month ago with DPS, and have seen kind of the same things you've seen when it comes to Operation Lone Star. And it's been very enlightening to see the difference between the federal government's response and the state of Texas's response with what's going on. And, you know, it's absolutely something I've learned from you, but really going down there and seeing the story, and in any story, it really changes your perspective, and it makes you a better reporter, and it gives you the tools to really inform the public.
I got to tell you, the first time you and I went down, and this is so everyone out there understands, Jennie, I took Jennie down to the border. We were down there on a visit with a lot of lawmakers, and I think that was your first time all the way out in the front brush right by the Rio Grande River, and all of these young people started crossing late in the night and just coming out onto the roadway. And I remember just how shocked you were to actually see that. And I've seen that with so many people that have never really been down there, never had that one-on-one experience with the migrants coming across. What was that like for you?
You really can't understand it. And I know it sounds crazy, but until you see it, until you experience it, until you see the distress in people's eyes, until you see someone who's really ill, which we saw, and you were extremely brave in that moment, and you were helping them, and you were getting them the aid they needed. And, you know, it really puts you in this place. And I think you've talked about this before with me, but when you're reporting in a situation like that, you can't really be unbiased. You can't really say, okay, well, I'm going to go into this and I'm just going to report the facts and just look at this as, you know, here's one side, here's the other side. But you have to understand that these people are suffering, and you have to, you know, be able to kind of sympathize with them and to understand their plight. And you more look at it through the lens of good versus evil, because these people are being used by some very evil actors.
Right. That's right. And a lot of them are spending especially when you look at the young children, a lot of them have been abused or been trafficked by monsters, these human traffickers that are just looking to enslave them or have harmed them in some way. And now, you know, a lot of these children have been abandoned by their parents. But then you look at the other side, and that's what you're reporting on too. I know you've done some really great work on it. The national security implications of a wide open border where you have people just coming in and we don't even know who they are. We don't even know what their intentions are here in the United States. And talk a little bit about that, because I know you're doing some amazing work on that.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things I've looked at is the process that migrants are using to get through TSA at airports to fly across the country. And we've seen thousands, tens of thousands use this process. You know, so many migrants, when they come across the border, they drop their documents or they have falsified documents. And Border Patrol is basically forced to take migrants at their word. They present a name that they say they are, and they're given a DHS document. So in a lot of cases, they're given a notice to appear, which is a court date. And TSA considers that an alternate form of identification to get through. They use certain databases to try to vet the person. And also, in cases where they can't vet the person, there's still a process for them to get through. So a lot of lawmakers, Congressman Lance Gooden from Texas, has raised a lot of concerns about this process because basically in the case where they're not, where their identity can't be proven or where they can't be fully vetted, it's up to really the airport, and it's this role of the federal security director at an airport to decide whether to let them in. And so there's a lot of security concerns, as you can imagine.
That's just crazy, though. Think about it. I'm in McAllen. I traveled to McAllen. I'm in Yuma. I'm in areas where we have a heavy flow of migrants. I get into the airport, and yeah, Jennie, I see so many people. I talk to them. They're holding a manila envelope. It says, I do not speak English. Please help me find my way around, basically. And they have no ID on them. They just have this manila envelope with some papers inside. And they're being flown all across the country. And mind you, the majority of them, almost none of them, have been tested for COVID. They were not mandated to take a vaccine. And now they're being flown all across the country. And why are they given like extra privileges that Americans aren't? I mean, it's totally mind-blowing to me. You cannot travel in any country or get on any plane in the United States of America and travel from point A to point B without an ID. You just can't do it.
Yeah, so there's a process where Americans can, but we have a way to vet them. You know, we have a way to know what's going on and who this person is in most cases. But like you said, I mean, this is really taking someone at their word.
Right. It's taking someone. Do you think that's a national security issue? I mean, are you hearing that as well from Border Patrol, ICE officers? They've got to be worried that something's going to happen one day.
Absolutely. And there's even more documents that they're able to present that I think will really shock the public that are coming soon that I'll be talking about. But it's even worse than just...
Ooh, she's teasing us. She's teasing us. You guys got to read her story, though. But I'm going to tell them before we go on, you got to go to her exclusive story on the TSA, not requiring illegal migrants to present any ID to board planes. It's at the Daily Caller. Just go to the Daily Caller, look up Jennie Taer, Taer. I just want you to be able. So go on, Jennie. I just want people to know where they can find your stories.
Yeah, Border Patrol is definitely concerned about this because they know the process. They know exactly what information is given, and they know what they have to do to give a notice to appear or whatever the document may be that they eventually use to fly. And it's basically just, here's my notice to appear, and here's my boarding pass to TSA, and those match. So let's just process you and give you maybe a little extra screening. In some cases, I've heard that in there are some cases where they're not given an extra screening. So an extra pat down or put into a separate private room to get more physical screening. So it's definitely concerning, given that we're in this post 9/11 world, and TSA was created to, vet people and to make sure that people traveling throughout the country are who they say they are.
Why aren't they doing it, Jennie? Why aren't they doing it? What is the excuse? And by the way, has the government been open on speaking with you about this, or is this all whistleblowers and people who are willing to talk on background and stuff like that? Is the government open about this?
No, the government has not been very transparent about this. They have, responded to Congressman Gooden's queries about this, and they've been kind of honest about the numbers, and they've talked about the process. They're very clear about how this works, but when kind of pressed on it, they don't really have answers, and that's kind of across the board with anything related to the border right now and the federal government. I've seen it also with the Drug Enforcement Administration when covering stories related to them. It basically, you can't get any answers out of them. They don't really talk to national media.
Well, that's just incredible to me, because after all these years of covering the border, and I've spent a good portion of my career there, I was just looking at a story I wrote in 2003, for crying out loud. You were probably in diapers. Jennie was probably, she was a kid. She was a kid.
I was like 7.
I'm on the border, and it's similar stories, but far worse than what I even remember. And I'm like, how do we get to this point, after September 11th? How do we say it's okay? I mean, the whole thing, I think, that blows my mind, and then you tell me if I'm right or wrong here, Jennie, but is the fact that so many Americans feel like, okay, we have to have mandates. We're shutting down schools. We're locking everybody down. If you don't get a vaccine, you're a grandma killer. You don't care about other people. And to top it off, we don't trust any of you. We'll pat down grandmas and grandpas and little kids at the airport. The TSA has actually done this, but people are coming into the country, flying around all over the place, doing whatever they want, and they don't have to do it. I don't understand that. Am I wrong? Or do I feel like there is something going on here that doesn't make sense?
No, because going back to what you were saying about just an American traveling versus a, undocumented migrant, you have this new process that we're all having to adhere to with TSA in getting extra identification and more vetting, and that's about to be implemented, although they've moved kind of the deadline for that several times, but we're being held to that standard. Whereas this process, it looks like it will continue to be ongoing. I mean, I plan to ask TSA about that. But you're right. It's definitely, we're being treated differently.
Well, we know that you are going to continue to investigate the border. I'm going to continue to investigate it. We're not going to stop. You're obviously working on other national security issues, stories that have other implications. But I have one in particular that I'm going to be really jealous if you and I have to cover these stories, but it's going to be awesome, right? UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomena, because Jennie posted our picture on Twitter when we were in Edinburgh. We were in Edinburgh, Texas, and we went to the UFO convention. We met our good friend Nick Pope there, who worked for the former British Ministry of Defense, and he was giving a speech. I mean, it was crazy, huh? You even wore a tinfoil hat.
That was so much fun. Going with you, the UFO expert, like that is your story for sure. And seeing Nick Pope and...
Anybody can do it.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And look, the world is so full of serious issues. The world is so full of heartache and heartbreak, and we've seen it, and we're seeing what's happening in Afghanistan. You did great, by the way, reporting on stories from there. I have my friend Salim here. He's such a great, we're still working on getting people out, by the way. Even after everything died down, Charles over at Congressman Garcia's office and I were able to get 4 more women out of Afghanistan. Salim is here with his baby Ahmed and his wife. And, we're working on that right now. I'm trying to make him a Texan. I told Salim, we've got to get Ahmed a cowboy hat. We're going to put, Salim in a cowboy hat, maybe get his wife one too. and we're going to bring them to Texas. They're actually still at a military base. So it's very difficult when you think about these stories, Jennie. I mean, before I let you go, I mean, talk a little bit about why you decided, okay, I'm going to go into journalism. Because I thought after you worked with me, you would just be like, okay, I am so not doing that job.
No, it's the complete opposite. I think you push me even more towards that because my bread and butter is kind of like radio and podcasting. You know, before this, I was a longtime intern for Laura Ingram's radio show and did local radio in Tucson, Arizona. And yeah, and so I've learned from so many radio hosts, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be my path. And then I met you, Sara, and you totally changed my perspective. And I am so grateful for that because I think I learned from someone who has a very unique way of approaching stories and is very compassionate about it and is just very real and not, you know, you're one of the people that was in DC for many, many years and wasn't, you know, tainted by the attitude here. And
oh no, I was tainted all right. I had to throw away all of my shoes before I came here because I was stepping in so much BS in DC.
I believe that.
I was like, wait a minute. Let me get my I'm only saved my cowboy boots. I only saved my cowboy boots. I'm just telling you that.
That's all you need. Yeah, no.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that, Jennie. And that's what I want. I mean, I want to have, I would love to work with more, and I hope more women and younger women get involved in journalism and reporting. I mean, I've kind of grown into a opinionated columnist, somewhat of a investigative columnist, I would say, journalist, pseudo. It's kind of like a mixture of all those things. I'm very open about that because I talk about my opinion a lot, but I also believe in reporting the facts when I do that and telling people what I've seen directly so that they know and that they're informed. I just hope a lot more young women get involved in it, having your voice out there, knowing you guys, she is an awesome, genuine human being that worked so hard for me and just really cares about what she does. And you got to read her stories because what she is going to be putting out there with the Daily Caller is going to affect every single one of us. And it's not just a story. It's about us. It's about who we are. That's what I hope I taught. It's about informing the American public so we can make the best decisions possible. And Jennie, you do that. Wasn't it great having Jennie back on? I mean, it was so great to see her again. I try to keep in touch with her every once in a while, and I promise to bring her back. And we're going to keep everyone updated on her latest investigations and stories. It's great to see her really make her way in the world and really make her mark. You guys, today's stock market is volatile. If you've been watching what's going on, and the current administration is looking to increase your taxes, they continually pander to China and they mislead you about inflation. That's far worse than a few mean tweets. So in honor of better financial times, Universal Coin and Bullion is offering a 1 ounce pure silver tribute coin featuring America's 45th president, Donald J. Trump, at their cost. I think I'm going to buy one and send it to Iran's Ayatollah. And you'll see why in a moment. So hold on. But you'll get a pure 1 ounce silver coin honoring former President Trump at the same price Universal Coin buys it from their vendors. Throughout history, silver and gold have been the hedge against inflation and guaranteed asset that you can turn to when times are uncertain. And with Biden and Harris in office, the uncertainty is getting worse, guys. Diversify your portfolio and add pure silver Trump coin to your investments now, and the postage is free. Call Universal Coin at 1-800-UCB-GOLD. That's 1-800-UCB-GOLD. Their professional staff, led by America's gold expert, Dr. Mike Fulgens, are waiting for you to call 1-800-UCB-GOLD to get your pure silver President Trump tribute coin at dealer's cost. Okay, I told you I have a special conclusion to this podcast, and this is going to be not only ridiculously funny, but seriously, it is stuff that struck me over the week as like insane. First, I want to play this clip from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and she will not condemn Iran for a video that they put out depicting basically a drone strike against President Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
I have a question about a video that Iran's Supreme Leader posted on his website that appears to show a robot conducting a drone strike, killing the former president at his Mar-a-Lago golf club. Is the intelligence community assessing this threat and working with former President Trump to offer protection of any kind?
I'm not going to speak to the work of our intelligence community. Obviously, the kind of rhetoric or video from the Supreme Leader is something that we've seen, offensive rhetoric and behavior in the past. But I'm not going to speak to more specifics of internal discussion.
First of all, stop calling this bonehead in Iran the Supreme Leader. He is not a Supreme anything. He can't even live up to the Supreme burrito. This guy issued this video on his website. So this Iranian leader, the Ayatollah, puts this video on a website showing a robot calling in a drone strike to assassinate former U.S. President Donald Trump. You know what? That makes me want to vote for President Trump again. And I hope he comes back to office because Iran should be sanctioned, should be removed from Twitter, by the way. By the way, Twitter, remove Iran completely. Just remove all of their leadership from Twitter because they constantly are threatening the United States. They're bullies. And they're also threatening Israel over and over again and the Jewish people. They constantly want to eliminate all the Jewish people off the face of the earth and Israel as well. They're racist and their rhetoric is horrific. They should be absolutely removed. And the fact that Jen Psaki can't even say that, the fact that she is tiptoeing around this Supreme burrito is really, really scary. I say bring back Kayleigh McEnany, bring back Donald Trump, and let's really watch these burritos squirm, right? Let's watch them squirm. So, okay, let's go on to Biden, President Biden. His rhetoric is so out of control. When he can think, he has this crazy rhetoric and we see the real side of Biden, right? And when he can't think, he just kind of melts and falls apart all over himself. And we know that he's, got a few screws missing up there and it's been really tough for him. But when he does get some clarity, this is the kind of rhetoric that he says. And this is a disgusting speech, by the way. It's pushing for his bill to federalize elections. And let me tell you, folks, if he got away with that, I believe that would be the final nail in the coffin for our republic. And I even tweeted about it. Listen to President Biden.
History has never been kind to those who've sided with voter suppression over voters' rights. And it'll even be less kind for those who side with election subversion. So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide.
This is from a guy who eulogized a KKK member, a leader, Byrd. This is coming from him. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it's Biden who makes the most prejudicial statements that anyone can ever hear. I mean, as a leader, if President Trump would have made the statements that Biden made, he would have been destroyed publicly in the media, destroyed. But Biden never faces that. He never faces that. He was good friends with Byrd. That is a fact. He made statements about 7-Eleven. Do you guys remember that? Remember the whole thing about, everybody who owns a 7-Eleven is from India? Remember that? Remember, you ain't black? Who the heck is this guy? He's our president, yeah. But he was very, very close to some really shady characters, and no one's ever held him accountable for that. No one's ever held him accountable for anything he does. In fact, they make excuses for him. I was just looking up, the eulogy for Byrd, and I went in here to look. The claim, and this is from the AP, this is a fact check, so I'm fact checking myself here. The claim was when former KKK Grand Wizard Robert Byrd died in 2010, he was eulogized by Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. AP's assessment, partly false, partly. Biden did eulogize Senator Robert Byrd, okay, when he died, but Byrd was not the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan then. He was a member of the KKK in the early 1940s, but later renounced his affiliation with the hate group. Really? It's that easy? I never saw anyone get this kind of treatment. Let's just lay the facts out straight. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by this, sharp tongue of Biden's, trying to say that if you're against federalizing elections, which, yeah, I'm against because I think it's unconstitutional and it belongs to the states. He says if you're against it, you are just like the worst segregationist or part of the Confederacy during the Civil War. That is total BS. He's closer to that than anybody I know. I want you to listen to this too. Let's move on because Joy Behar, this is so great. She's like freaking out. Joy Behar from The View. She is like freaking out over Senator Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin basically saying they are not going to support Biden in this. They don't believe in federalizing elections. And so now Joy Behar is having heart failure in front of America. Listen.
Sarah, why do they call themselves Democrats when they refuse to do what the party leader wants them to do? They act like Republicans, yet they say they're Democrats. Well, does he have any way, Biden, does he have any way out of this?
I don't think so.
So to the point. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That's coming from a Democrat. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have any way out of this. And thank God. And thank God he doesn't. Because we have really reached a breaking point in America with what's been going on. I really feel like, first of all, Kyrsten Sinema and Manchin are really much like the blue dog, kind of your dad's Democratic Party, I believe. They're thinking that way. They're thinking, what is going on here? They're thinking the same thing we are thinking. Like, when did this happen? That the Democrats are literally trying to steal elections in our face. Because Biden has one of the worst right now records. Right now, is I think only 33% of people actually support him, according to the latest polls. I think that's too much. I think it's somewhere closer to like 10%. I can't even believe anybody thinks he's doing a good job. Maybe Joy Behar thinks he's doing a great job. She should join his administration because she's probably the 1% that believes it. We have over 7% inflation. Some people estimate, I was actually watching CNBC the other day and they were saying, look, with everything combined, and I was talking to my husband about this, when they laid it all out, whether that's gas, food prices, housing, everything, it looks more like 14% inflation. It's been a great show. It's been great talking to you. I'm glad I was able to throw in Joy Behar there. And I'd love to hear what you all think. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about as far as like, are you stunned that the Democrats are going this far? What do you think should be done about immigration? Do you think the Republican Party is going to take back the House in 2022? What do you think is going to happen in 2024? And can America and this administration get any worse than it already has in the last year? And does that frighten you? Thank you again for being a part of this show. Thank you again for being a part of this great nation. God bless you and God bless the United States of America. Remember, you can find all of my social media links and everything at saracarter.com. That is saracarter.com, where we'll have the latest stories. See you next week. Today, I'm joined by Rebecca Weber, the CEO of the Association for Mature American Citizens. It's also known as AMAC. Explain the differences. What makes AMAC superior to AARP beyond the fact that we don't agree with their leftist ideology?
What makes us so unique is that we truly do take our marching orders from our membership. Before we go out and about and advocate for any issue, we do consult with our AMAC members, and we do that through a variety of ways. But that really makes us very different, where AARP stood in support of Obamacare, even though their membership was largely against. AMAC will stand in support of our membership. In addition, Sara, we offer benefits. We offer benefits just like the AARP. Ours are better because we offer choices. For example, you can call AMAC for your Medicare, and we're not going to do a one-size-fits-all one plan. The AARP endorses United Healthcare, whereas AMAC has its own trusted in-house licensed insurance advisors that are working for AMAC, stand for our mission of faith, family, and freedom, and then go about offering real choices. We do a lot of things like that that I think make us very different and make us, quite frankly, better.
Rebecca, thanks so much for being with me today. I'm honored to have you and AMAC as a sponsor for the Sara Carter Show. You know, for more information, folks, visit amac.us/Carter.